Welcome to Point de Hoc. On behalf of the National Navy SEAL UDT Museum and Memorial, we're delighted you could join us here this June 5th afternoon. It is gripping, it is memorable. This is a journey of a lifetime. We're happy you can see some of it on this video clip.
The museum is going to be represented at the 75th anniversary of D-Day ceremonies because one of the SEAL's predecessor units, the Naval Combat Demolition Units, featured prominently in clearing the obstacles, the German obstacles that were placed in the path of the Allies as they came ashore. Probably the most important person who's going to be going on the SEAL side is Medal of Honor recipient Britt Slabinski. Another person who's going not to represent the museum, but who also has a strong connection to the SEAL community is Cheryl McCleskey.
My father's name was Alfredo Palacios.
What does this do for you to be here and to know the connection to your family here?
It's very overwhelming and emotional for me. When my father reached Omaha Beach, he was part of the first wave that came in, and he was immediately hit in his arm. He passed out and came to, and he started running, and he was hit in the back. And he was pulled underneath the cliff and pulled up against the cliff, and one of the U.S. servicemen put a rifle under his right arm while his left arm was dangling. And 6 Germans came over the cliff with their arms up, and they surrendered to my father while he was there injured.
In the background, there were 3 Germans with their hands in the air walking right by, and you can just exactly find that spot.
Our SEAL Museum group is going to have its own special historian, Joe Balkowski, and we're all required to read one of Joe's books before we leave. This is going to be a superb and interesting group, and it's going to have a good historical reach back because Britt's father was a frogman. Britt's been around for a long time, well over 30 years now. So Britt covers us up into the present. Cheryl's father, going back to 1944, has direct family linkage. I joined the SEALs, the Special Warfare, back in 1966, and I served until 96, and my son has been a SEAL from 2000 until the present. So basically we've got pretty much Special Warfare history covered.
And the other Normandy beachheads during Operation Overlord.
It's going to be a very moving experience, and I think it'll probably be like going to Section 60 in Arlington National Cemetery. That's where all the special operations and other veterans, other men who were killed in the recent wars are buried. And there are some places in the world where the line between the living and those who have departed is very thin. Arlington Section 60 is one of those, and I fully expect that parts of Normandy are going to be the same. There were 2 SEAL predecessor organizations, forefather organizations, that had a hand in the Normandy landings. One was the Scouts and Raiders, and before the landing, a couple of Scout and Raiders went ashore to take sand samples from the prospective landing beaches to see what sort of load they could bear, what sort of trafficability they could have, because you wouldn't want to put heavy equipment ashore and get it bogged down right away. So they did that and brought that back for analysis. But the major SEAL forerunners came ashore in Naval Combat Demolition Units, and their job was to clear away the obstacles that the Germans had placed in the water between the high water line and outward to about maybe 10 feet of water. There's a fairly high tide range there. And so the Germans had placed extensive obstacles there, metal, concrete, some of them quite elaborate. And the job of these Naval Combat Demolition Units was to go in there and attach explosives to them in full view of the enemy and under enemy fire. That's why 52% of them were casualties on Omaha Beach, and detonate the explosives so that the rest of the landing craft carrying the troops could come ashore. The NCDUs who came ashore in Normandy in 1944 probably had a knife and a pistol or maybe a submachine gun with them, if even that. Today's SEALs carry up anywhere from, I think a light combat load would probably be something like 60 pounds, and it may go up to twice that, with body armor, helmets, and whatnot. The men who went ashore in 1944 did not have much in the way in common with the men of today in terms of equipment, but their heart, their spirit, that drive to succeed is still common to them. If somebody wants to learn more about what happened in Normandy in June 1944 And what the SEAL predecessor's role in it was, come to the SEAL Museum. There's a whole historically rich exhibit with lots of artifacts from the period and very clear and easy and yet detailed explanations of what happened. The museum spans the time from 1942 to the present, but the first place you'll see when you go to the museum is the World War II exhibit. You can spend a day there just looking at things.